We need you to come back home. No one's doing the chores, Mom pleaded. I blocked their numbers. A week later, they showed up at my door. I don't even know how to start this because honestly, I've been holding it in for so damn long. Maybe I just need to say it out loud or write it down or something, because if I don't, I feel like I might actually lose my mind. My name's Stella and I'm 22 years old. I work as a barista at a little coffee shop a few blocks from my apartment. Well, my new apartment. I was supposed to move out this soon, at least not in the way that I did. But here I am, sitting on my tiny couch in my even tinier living room, sipping cold coffee because I can't be bothered to heat it up, trying to process how everything blew up. I grew up in a small town, not exactly rural, but not a big city either. The kind of place where people know your business whether you want them to or not. I have two younger siblings, Roger 18 and Jill 15, and growing up I was the responsible one. That's what my parents always called me, like it was some kind of badge of honor. Stella, you're the oldest, you have to set an example. Stella, your brother and sister look up to you. Stella, help me with this, do that, take care of this, be the bigger person. And for years, I did. I did everything they asked because I thought that's just what being the oldest meant. It didn't hit me until way later, way too late, that being the responsible one was just a nice way of saying, Stella, we're gonna dump all the work on you while Roger and Jill do whatever the hell they want. It started small. When I was younger, it was just little things, helping Roger with his homework, watching Jill when Mom ran errands, setting the table for dinner. Then by middle school, I was making dinner. By high school, I was doing laundry, grocery shopping, vacuuming, washing dishes, scrubbing toilets. If there was something that needed doing, it somehow became my job. Meanwhile, Roger and Jill, yeah, they got to live the carefree teenage life while I played part-time housekeeper. And my parents, they acted like it was normal, like it was my duty. You should be grateful you have a family to take care of, Mom would say if I ever complained. At least you're not paying rent. That was the golden rule in our house: as long as you're not paying rent, you owe your labor. At first I thought, okay, that's fair, I don't pay bills so I should contribute, but that logic only worked if it applied to all of us. And it didn't. Roger and Jill didn't pay rent either, but somehow they never had to lift a damn finger. Roger, who spent all his time glued to his computer, playing video games and watching YouTube, never got asked to do anything. And Jill, who was either on FaceTime with her friends or scrolling TikTok, didn't get asked either. But if I sat down for 5 minutes, suddenly Mom was in the doorway like, Stella, can you unload the dishwasher? It wasn't fair, and maybe if I had been braver I would have said something sooner, but I just kept taking it, kept telling myself that maybe when I got older things would change. They didn't. It all came to a head last Thursday. I had just finished a 9-hour shift at work. My feet were killing me, my shirt reeked of coffee, and my patience was running on fumes. The only thing I wanted to do was come home, take off my shoes, and sit down for just a few minutes. I walked through the front door and immediately smelled it. Leftover food, something greasy. I stepped into the living room and sure enough, there it was. Roger's half-eaten plate of takeout sitting right on the coffee table, surrounded by crumbs. I stood there for a second, just staring at it. Because this wasn't new. Roger did this all the time. He would eat on the couch, leave his crap behind, and go back to his computer like he had no idea that plates don't clean themselves. Normally, I'd just roll my eyes and pick it up myself because arguing with him was pointless. But that night I was done. I didn't touch the plate, I walked past it, straight to my room, but before I could even sit down, I heard Mom call from the kitchen. Stella, can you come clean up the table? Roger left his plate out again. I swear to God, I almost laughed. I walked back out, leaned against the doorway, and stared at her. Why can't Roger do it? I asked, voice flat. Mom blinked at me like I had just spoken in another language. Because he's busy. Busy? The kid was in his room playing League of Legends, probably yelling into his headset like the game was life or death. I just got home from work. My voice was steady, but I could feel the anger crawling up my throat. I've been on my feet all day, and you want me to clean up after Roger? Mom gave me that look, the one she always gave when I was overreacting. Stella, you're the oldest, you should be setting an example, it's just a plate. And that was it. That was the moment I snapped. I slammed my hand on the kitchen counter so hard that the silverware rattled. No, it's not just a plate. It's every single thing in this house that I have to do while Roger and Jill get to sit on their asses. It's the fact that I work my ass off every day and you still treat me like your personal maid. I'm done, Mom, I'm so done. Mom's face turned stony. You're being dramatic, I laughed. I actually laughed because if she thought this was dramatic, she had no idea what was coming next. I grabbed my keys off the counter. I'm moving out. Mom just stared at me. What? I've been saving up for months, I said. I don't need this anymore. I don't need to live in a house where I'm treated like a goddamn servant. Her expression flickered. Where are you even going to go? I'll figure it out, I shot back, already heading toward the door. She followed me. Stella, you don't have to do this. You're overreacting. I didn't stop. I walked straight out, got in my car, and drove. I had no idea where I was going, but I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't stay in that house another minute. I didn't have a plan, I just drove. The streetlights blurred past me, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. My heart was still racing, my chest heaving like I had just sprinted 10 miles. I could still hear my mom's voice echoing in my head, that damn condescending tone, the way she acted like I was making a big deal out of nothing. Like I hadn't spent years bending over backward for them. Like I hadn't just worked a brutal shift and come home to be treated like a maid. I pulled into the parking lot of a 24-hour diner and just sat there, staring at the dashboard, trying to slow my breathing. What the hell had I just done? Did I really just leave? I wasn't the kind of person who made big, dramatic exits. I swallowed shit for years without saying a word, but tonight something inside me just snapped. I grabbed my phone, scrolled through my contacts, and hesitated. Who the hell could I even call? Most of my friends had moved out of town after high school. The ones who stayed were still living with their own families, dealing with their own shit. I wasn't about to crash on someone's couch like some kind of burden. My pride wouldn't let me. Then, like an idiot, I checked my messages. Mom, 1 missed call. Mom, Stella, come home. This is ridiculous. Mom, you're acting like a child. Roger, Elmau, what the hell is wrong with you? Mom's freaking out. Just come clean the house and stop being dramatic. Jill, Mom's crying. Hope you're happy. I let out a bitter laugh, tossing my phone onto the passenger seat. Of course, that's how they saw it. It wasn't years of mistreatment. It wasn't me finally standing up for myself. No, it was just me being dramatic. I knew if I answered, if I went back, nothing would change. Mom would sigh in relief, tell me she was glad I came to my senses, and by tomorrow morning I'd be back to scrubbing their messes like nothing happened. Not this time. I spent the next few hours scrolling through apartment listings, ignoring the waves of texts that kept coming in. Most of the places were out of my budget, but I found a tiny studio in a not great part of town that I could afford if I stretched my savings. It wasn't ideal, but it was mine. By the next day, I had signed the lease. I moved out within a week. I didn't tell my family where I was going. I packed my shit when I knew they wouldn't be home, left my key on the counter, and walked out the door without looking back. For the first time in forever, I could breathe. The first few days were surreal. I woke up and didn't have a list of chores waiting for me. I came home from work and could actually sit down without someone yelling my name. I ate when I wanted, slept when I wanted, did whatever the hell I wanted, and it was glorious. The silence was weird at first, but I got used to it fast. I bought myself a cheap couch, set up my tiny little space, and started figuring out how to just exist without being constantly needed. Then the calls started. At first, it was just one voicemail from Mom. Her voice was tight, controlled. Stella, we need you to come back home. The house is a mess. You left your things everywhere and no one's doing the chores. Your dad been complaining. Just come back for a little while, okay? I deleted it without responding. The next day, a text from Roger. Mom says you need to come home and help out. The house is falling apart. Do you even care about us anymore? I stared at the screen, fingers twitching, debating whether I should respond, but the longer I looked at it, the angrier I got. They didn't ask how I was, didn't ask if I was okay, if I had a place to stay, if I needed anything. They didn't care that I had finally hit my breaking point. They just wanted their damn housekeeper back. I ignored the message. Then the flood started. Mom, Roger, even Jill. Mom, Stella, this is getting ridiculous. You can't just abandon your family like this. Roger, you're selfish as hell, you know that. Mom and Dad are struggling because of you. Jill, I don't know why you're doing this to us. Just come home already. By the end of the week, I had over 20 missed calls. I blocked all of them, and for a little while, things got quiet. Until one night when my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize, I answered without thinking. Stella, I froze. Dad, he never called. He barely even texted me unless it was to tell me to run an errand. If he was calling now, that meant one thing: they were desperate. Dad, I said cautiously, his voice was flat. Are you done with this nonsense yet? I clenched my jaw. What do you mean, nonsense? You've made your point, okay? Your mother's stressed out, your siblings are miserable, and we can't keep living like this. It's time to come home. I laughed, a short, bitter sound. So let me get this straight. The house is a disaster, nobody's doing anything, and instead of telling Roger and Jill to clean up after themselves, you're calling me. He sighed like he was talking to a toddler throwing a tantrum. Stella, we all have responsibilities. You can't just run away when things get hard. My blood boiled. That's funny because I seem to remember being the only one with responsibilities back when I lived there. Roger and Jill got to sit on their asses while I did everything. But now that I'm gone, suddenly you're all helpless. Sounds like a you problem. His tone sharpened. Watch your attitude. We took care of you. I cut him off. No, I took care of all of you. Stella, he finally said, voice tight, this family didn't give a damn about me until they lost their maid. I hung up. I sat there for a long time after, my hands shaking, my heart pounding. My mind kept screaming at me to feel guilty, to go back, fix things, but I shoved it down. I wasn't their fixer anymore. The next few weeks, I started to heal. I focused on work, on getting my apartment together, on figuring out what it meant to live life for me instead of everyone else. I still had moments where the guilt crept in, but every time I even considered responding, I reminded myself they didn't miss me. They missed what I did for them, and I was never going back. It had been 3 weeks, 3 whole weeks since I walked out of that house for good, 3 weeks of silence. Well, not actual silence. I still had work, still had my new routine, still had my own life to deal with, but silence from them. No calls, no texts, nothing. It was almost eerie how quickly they seemed to drop it, like I had never been there in the first place. And for a second, a small, stupid second, I almost believed that maybe, just maybe, they had finally gotten it. That they had realized I was serious this time, that I wasn't coming back, that they had to figure things out on their own. Then, on a random Thursday evening, my phone rang. Mom, I stared at the screen, my stomach twisting. I knew I shouldn't pick up, knew that nothing good would come from it, but something in me still wanted to hear her voice, so I answered. Stella, she breathed like she had been holding it in for days. We need to talk. I could already feel my teeth clenching. What is there to talk about, Mom? She sighed, long and dramatic, like I was the one being difficult. Stella, enough of this, you've made your point. Now can you please just come home and help us? I laughed, actually laughed. Help, you mean come back and do everything for you again? Yeah, I don't think so. Stella, don't be like this. The house is a disaster. Your dad has been so stressed, and Roger and Jill, they don't know how to keep up with everything. We're struggling. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you let them get away with doing nothing for their entire lives, I snapped. It's not my problem, Mom. It never should have been my problem. Her voice hardened. We are your family. No, I said, my grip tightening around the phone. I was your maid. And then, the guilt trip. Stella, your father isn't doing well. His blood pressure has been high. He's barely sleeping. This stress is killing him. Oh, there it was, the ultimate card. If you don't come home, you'll be responsible for your father's death move. I should have seen it coming. I should have been prepared, but still, it hit me. Because as much as I hated everything about how they treated me, a part of me still cared. I didn't want anything bad to happen to my dad, and they knew that. They knew exactly how to push my buttons, exactly how to dig into that tiny part of me that still felt responsible for them. But then, the anger came back. I took a deep breath, steadying my voice. I hope Dad takes care of himself, but I'm not coming back. If he's that stressed, tell Roger and Jill to step the hell up for once in their lives. She gasped like I had just insulted the Pope. Stella, you know they're still just kids. I nearly threw my phone. Roger is 18. I was younger than him when you had me running the whole damn house. Don't act like they can't handle it. They just never had to because you always dumped it on me. She tried to argue, but I didn't let her. I'm done, Mom. I don't care how bad it gets over there. You all made your beds, now lie in it. And I hung up. I sat there for a while, my heart pounding, my hands shaking, waiting for the guilt to hit, for the regret, for that little voice in my head to start whispering that maybe I was being too harsh. But it never came. Instead, I felt relief. Real, genuine relief. Like for the first time in my life, I had actually stood my ground, actually put myself first instead of letting them guilt me into cleaning up their mess. And that should have been the end of it, but it was. A few days later, I came home from work and immediately felt something off. My stomach dropped. I lived in a safe enough neighborhood, but the second I stepped into my apartment building, I felt it, that weird, suffocating weight in the air, like someone had been waiting for me. I turned the corner to my hallway and there they were, standing outside my apartment door like some kind of intervention. I stopped dead in my tracks, my heart slamming against my ribs. What the hell are you doing here? Mom stepped forward, her eyes red and puffy like she had been crying the whole way here. Stella, please, can we talk? I looked at Dad, who stood there stiffly, arms crossed, jaw clenched. Roger, of course, had his hands in his pockets, looking at everything except me. I laughed, because at this point, what else could I do? You have got to be kidding me, Mom sniffled. We just want you to come home. I dropped my bag to the floor and folded my arms. Are you serious? You show up at my apartment like this? You couldn't just take the hint when I didn't answer your damn calls? Dad cleared his throat. Stella, we need to fix this. You're making things harder than they need to be. I shook my head, a bitter taste in my mouth. No, Dad, you're just mad that I finally said no. Roger rolled his eyes. Jesus, can you stop being a bitch for 2 seconds? You don't even care that Mom's been crying every night, that Dad's stressed out of his mind, that everything's falling apart without you? Something inside me snapped. I stepped forward, right up in his face, my voice low and dangerous. You know what, Roger, I don't give a damn, because for years I was the one crying at night. For years I was the one stressed out of my mind, trying to keep everything together while you sat in your stupid room playing video games, and not once did you care, so now you can deal with it. Roger flinched, but I wasn't done. I turned to Mom. And you let this happen, you let them get away with it, you made me believe I had to do everything, and the second I decided to live my own life, you guilt-tripped me. I don't owe you anything. Mom looked like I had physically hit her. Stella, please, we can fix this. I held up my hand. No, we can't, because I'm done. I'm done being your maid, your scapegoat, your backup parent. I have my own life now, and you are not a part of it. I turned, grabbed my bag off the floor, and unlocked my apartment door. Leave now. For a second I thought Dad might argue, might push back, but he just sighed, rubbing a hand down his face. Fine, he muttered, let's go. Mom sobbed, Roger cursed under his breath, but eventually they left, and as soon as the door closed behind them I exhaled. I had won, I was free. I didn't know what the future held, didn't know what came next, but one thing was for sure, I was never going back, and for the first time in my life that felt good. Sometimes the hardest thing you'll ever do is walk away, but sometimes it's the only way to save yourself.